Uh, I think the Giants just gave up. They quit. Now I'm not saying it as disrespectful, but you ever? Here goes my analogy. You ever hoopers, right? Boom. You remember what the league kind of went crazy when KD went to Golden State, and how there was a good sense of they're just the best team clearly, and a lot of nights they would blow teams out, and they didn't even play the fourth quarter because just the talent discrepancy is just that big. That's what we saw against the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Giants. The talent discrepancy was huge. I mean, you look at the rosters, right? Outside of what? Saquon Barkley, outside of Dexter Lawrence, who on the Giants team is going to start for the Eagles? Outside of Dexter Lawrence and Saquon Barkley. Like, who's going to start over A.J. Brown? Who's going to start over Devontae Smith? Who's going to start over Dallas Goedert? Who's going to start over Lane Johnson? Who's going to start over Jason Kelsey? Who's going to start over Darius Slay? Who's going to start over Jalen Hurts? You saw two teams that are completely different, are on a completely different level. Again, I understand that, the Giants were in the divisional playoffs, and I understand they beat the Vikings. And I also understand that Daniel Jones had a good outing against the Vikings. I even said he was the MVP of the wild card. But he was also playing against the Vikings defense, which is one of the worst, if not the worst defense in football remaining. Because you saw what Daniel Jones looked like against a real defense. I said that the 49ers is probably the most complete team remaining, or the best team remaining in the playoffs. The Eagles rival that. And the Eagles might be the best team. Now, yes, I understand that any given Sunday, I understand that the Chiefs could win. I understand that the Bills or Bengals could win. I understand that the 49ers could beat them. But from top to bottom, this team is probably, like the 49ers, one of the best teams I have ever seen. This team is drastically better than the 2017-18 Eagles team that won the championship. Or was it 19? One of them two. Jalen Hurts, there's a reason why, for everyone calling him a system quarterback, there's a reason why this team looks drastically different with Gardner Minshew than it does with Jalen Hurts. Shouts out to Nick Sirianni. I was drastically wrong about Nick Sirianni too. Nick Sirianni as well. This Eagles team, again, you don't need to talk much about the game. I mean, they won 38-7. This was complete domination. And that doesn't take away from anything that the Giants have done this year. Again, shouts out to Brian Daboll. More than likely, he's going to win Coach of the Year. Daniel Jones had a good season, but is a lot of that because we kind of saw the old Daniel Jones minus the interceptions. We kind of saw the old Daniel Jones rear its head against the Eagles. So I'm not taking away from what he did in the regular season, but we saw the old Daniel Jones. And again, this was a complete mismatch. The only reason why I gave the Bills probably the worst loss, even though the Giants lost worse, or even though the score didn't reflect that, is because you went into, if you were being, unbiased, or you were being realistic, you went into the Bills game thinking that the Bills should have won this game, or should have won the game going into the game. You think that, while yes, there's a lot, it was evenly matched talent wise. It was just things were kind of going into the Bills' favor. When you look at this Eagles-Giants game, this was a complete mismatch. And nobody should have thought, like, people shouldn't have thought that the Giants had a chance. I understand the statistic that no team has lost to one team 3 times in one season. I get that. But look at every single time the Eagles have played the Giants. It's been a rout every time. And the playoffs is just another just another check on that box. So yeah, the Giants, I went into that game. It was quick too. Kind of like the Bills, it was quick. Like I saw almost instantly, oh yeah, the Giants is over with. The Giants have absolutely no shot. Jason Kelsey is dominating. That offensive line is dominating. They have the Eagles have the best offensive line in football. The Giants had absolutely no shot. Daniel Jones could have played his best game, which his best game probably was against the Eagles. Probably was against the Vikings a week ago. He could have duplicated that, and they still would have lost badly. Saquon Barkley was they neutralized him. He did his best, of course, but they neutralized him. So yeah, I think the Bills had the worst loss, even though, of course, tally-wise and score-wise, you would say it's the Eagles and Giants, but I had absolutely no faith in the Giants. So that was, what we saw in the divisional round. I will give my predictions of the conference championships on Saturday, and let me know what you guys saw in those playoff games. So, oh man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.